the George Floyd thing. This is maybe the best example. Now, what happened? Go ahead and recap this. This is an important part, not because of the case itself, not because St. George Floyd matters or the cops matter or anything else. This is a great example of the kind of culture you have now and the damage that can be done with a corrupted system. You woke up one day and there was this terrible video floating around the internet. And then it got from the internet to the news. What was on the video? What was on the video was there was this cop, white cop, with what looked like his knee on the back of the neck of some sweaty, shirtless black dude on the pavement. The black dude was kind of crying out. He didn't look well. He didn't sound well. And you're looking at this video. The cops are standing around. The knee looks like it's on the neck. Oh my gosh. And then the guy dies. And right away, you're watching. And you know, as a human being, it doesn't look good, doesn't sound good. Doesn't really matter where you fall in the whole thing. It was kind of ugly. No one wants to watch somebody sit there and die and sweaty. It was terrible. But that didn't mean we needed massive policy changes across the country. It didn't mean corporations had to realign themselves. The government had to realign itself. Okay, it was one internet video. Let's figure out what's wrong. Okay, where was this? Minneapolis? Okay, well, hopefully Minneapolis, investigates. If there's someone did something wrong, hopefully that. But that's not what happened, did it? What happened was the system, all those cultural pillars, realized that they had been presented with an opportunity. They had been presented with an opportunity to crush more of your freedoms, to attack more of what you value, to push what they want forward. And so they used this internet video to shape our entire culture for 6 months to a year. You still see little remnants of it out there. Do you remember DJs dropping beats on rooftops to George Floyd, the drug dealer?
So this record is in honor of George Floyd. And I really hope we can see more unity and more peace when already things are so difficult. So, shout out to his family.
So even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream. I have a dream.
Okay, that's what? And all of a sudden, George Floyd's statues, many are still standing, all of them actually are still standing, begin popping up across the country. There were George Floyd funeral services, multiple funeral services across the country. We had not just Democrats, Republican senators like Tim Scott deciding, because of one internet video in Minneapolis, that the cops were the problem in the urban black community, which is ridiculous. And you can hate cops all you want. I don't care what you feel. I don't do universal back to blue. I don't do universal cops are evil. Everyone who does that kind of stuff is stupid. Each incident is on his own. But all of a sudden, it was just the thing to do on the left and the right. The cops suck. The cops are the problem. The cops are ruining the black community. We had politicians and the media, those important pillars out there, in the wake of one internet video calling for the defunding of police.
In Oakland tonight, defunding the police has become a reality.
The LA City Council has taken its first step in defunding the LAPD. Today, the council voted to cut the budget by $150 million.
Do we agree that we can redirect some of the funding?
Yes.
I do believe that we need to reallocate resources away.
So yes, defund your butts.
The city council passed the New York City budget, which includes redistributing $1 billion from the NYPD budget.
Yes, I support the reallocation of resources from NYPD.
We have to reimagine public safety.
Not only do we need to disinvest in police, but we need to completely dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department.
What? You still wrap your mind around how crazy that was? And as the system began to build this narrative, right? Black people are oppressed in America. The cops are the problem. Defund the police. These things are all Things that would have been insane to the normal American 5 minutes before St. George Floyd died. Now the system's building this narrative and building this narrative. And this is where you're going to see all the cultural pillars. As I've said, that was the media. That was the politicians already. Professional athletes. Another cultural pillar. Athletic performance is an important part of your culture. Athletics. It's a reason it's a part of tiny tribes too. It's part of what brings people together. Well, we don't have that pillar. The system has taken that pillar in too. Here's LeBron James.
Having, two boys of my own, and me being an African American in America, and to see what continues to happen with the police brutality towards my kind, continue to see what goes on with the unjust. It's very troubling.
The unjust. Yes, LeBron and LeBron's kids definitely in a lot of trouble of getting in a bad run-in with the cops. I can't stop. But again, the more ridiculous it got, the more it seemed to feed on itself. Soon, you had Black Lives Matter plastered across NBA courts, NFL fields, and racism. This simply became a thing. And then it began to bleed from the obvious cultural pillars. Then this is what happens. It began to bleed into the right. You saw this over and over and over again. I remember seeing it. I remember looking on in horror. Hold on, what? You'd see these people who you normally trust, normally go to for truth. They would, in response to all this pressure from the system, hey, whitey, don't you have anything to say? You'd see people, wow, we do have a lot of racism. No, I do prison reform. We definitely need some prison reform for sure. It is a racist country, after all. George Floyd, what happened with St. George Floyd, it was a system in action. That's what you saw. They can create a false narrative out of nothing and totally change the direction of a nation. I remember this. This might be the best example. I remember my son logging into one of his video games. And he says, Dad, come look, Dad, come quick. Because they have these loading screens with the video games loading up. And I run in and they had done an update on the video game and updated it. So the loading screen, when you load it in, was about Black Americans and how oppressed they are in this country. And it is unjust, the video game. That's the system. Running everything, controlling the narrative at all times. So they can constantly put insane concepts out there and get half the country or more to either believe it or succumb. That's what we're up against.